Alright guys, hope you're all doing well, hope you're all keeping safe. Recently, and I mean in the last kind of couple of months, I've seen more reports of bugs and players using cheats in PvP than ever before. It seems to constantly fill my Twitter timeline, and for some time I've been holding off on revealing why that's the case, but today I wanted to share this with you. On top of this, the title for the new Division novel has been revealed and it's quite interesting, so we've got that to speculate about as well. Hope you enjoy this one. Drop a like and subscribe for more of my content, and let's begin. Okay, so let's get the bad news out of the way to begin with. We'll end the video on a more speculative and positive note. Last week, I believe it was last Monday, EK1 Gaming uploaded a snippet of PvP footage to Twitter showcasing the absolute mess that is the Division 2 PvP. Not only is the skill spam and balance the worst it has ever been, PvP appears to be infected with cheaters the likes this franchise hasn't seen before. I myself don't log in daily anymore. I'm waiting until the new content comes out. So you'd expect that I wouldn't see issues that often. But even yesterday, I logged in for an hour and experienced various issues with the skills. You may have even noticed in my video footage yesterday my drone failed to work, wasn't locking on targets and just failed to respond. I know that skills and bugs and things have never all been fixed in this game, as is with most games, and from time to time I've always experienced issues, but the frequency of which this is happening now is becoming a real problem for many people. And what's worse, we've had multiple maintenances over the last couple of months and none of them have addressed these issues. Even the issues they were meant to have fixed in those maintenance patch notes have sometimes not worked. So, what's going on then? Well, I can tell you exactly what is going on with 100% certainty. I cannot disclose how I know this, but guys, trust me, this is what is happening. Massive are not fixing bugs. I mean that is obvious, but what I mean is they are literally not fixing bugs, and instead they're focusing all of their attention elsewhere. I presume the same goes for cheaters in PvP, but I've not had this confirmed. At this point, it appears they are compromising the health of the game because all of their attention is on making this new content. Ultimately, that's what's going to make Ubisoft money. I don't know this part for sure. It's possible they simply don't have enough devs still working on the game to fix both bugs and make new content. I think that Ubisoft have given them a short window to get content done, and that means they've had to move all of their resources to making new content, and unfortunately that comes at a cost to the game experience right now. I mean, if this is true, I guess the silver lining is they are focusing everything on the new content, but it's a very faint lining. What I also know is this isn't permanent. Another reason why I think they have the staff, but they've moved them elsewhere to work on the new content. They've moved everyone over to the new content. Massive will get back to bug fixing at some point in the future, and we should expect them to push out maintenance after maintenance, addressing many of the issues being flagged. But this will come in the future. Will it come in time for the new content release? I don't know. I hope so, because one thing that really kind of held Warlords of New York back was the bugs, the glitches, and the general instability of the servers. The last thing the community needs is new content filled with bugs. That will completely undermine any of the work the devs may have done. So there you have it. Don't expect glaring issues or cheaters to be addressed anytime soon, because it's not going to happen. Moving on. Alright, let's move on to a more positive note. Well, it depends on how you take this as to whether it's positive for you, but for me personally, this is positive. Back in March, Ubisoft unveiled the future plans for the Division franchise, which included the Year 3/Year 4 content, the Division Heartlands game developed by Redstorm, the Division coming to mobile, and a new Division novel set to release next year. This will be coming from Aconite Books. It could be Aconite Books, I'm not totally sure. We've now been given the title. It will be called Tom Clancy's Division Recruited. Ubisoft in March said This new story is set after the events of The Division 2 and explores how the outbreak affects different regions of the United States as agents fight to secure supply routes. Now, if you remember back to when we took down Feilau and the recordings we had, you will note that these recordings had nothing to do with the future of The Division 2, as most speculated, at least from what we know at the moment, but actually appeared to be revealing the plot for this novel. Content creator Born Diesel made a good point on Twitter about the title Recruited, which piqued my interest when he said, sort of odd that they'd focus on recruitment when the recent audiobook focused a lot on it as well. Now, I've not listened to the audiobook myself, Hearts on Fire, but I've got no reason not to believe this focuses on recruitment, as Born Diesel says. So it appears both the audiobook and this new novel focus on recruitment. Also, what I will say is that actually the description given for this new novel about recruitment doesn't quite fit into what the description Ubisoft initially gave for this new novel, but that's a separate point. Now, why am I badgering on about this? Well, seeing as this novel is set after the events of The Division 2, is it possible these two are a precursor to the story of The Division 3 or another division kind of related game? I don't think it's a coincidence that both of these focus on the same thing. And in terms of the Division story and recruitment, that would kind of be the next logical step in the arc. In The Division, we had the fall of society and the activation of the agents. The Division 2 focused on rebuilding that society and kind of getting back on our feet, getting society back on its feet. The Division 3 then would make sense to focus on recruitment and retaliation. Now, I'm highly speculating, of course, but to me, it's a logical step in the story, and I think it would round off the story arc, a very common story arc that it goes back ages, but it never kind of gets old. This would be my best guess right now as to the plot for a new Division game in the series. It's why I don't think the Division 2 Year 3 / Year 4 story content will go into any more detail about the Hunters, because recruitment, retaliation, and the exposure of the whole Hunter narrative would make the perfect story arc for a new game completing the trilogy. I'm not going to get my hopes up, of course, because this could all be coincidence, it probably is, and there may not be any plans for a new Division game in the future, but I do hope I'm wrong, because I think if I'm not wrong, this will likely be the direction the story goes, and that has me excited. As always, guys, let me know what you think about both topics of today's video. Is it a good thing the devs are compromising the current health of the game to ensure they deliver the best new content within the time constraints they have, or is that just not acceptable? Are the Division audiobook, Hearts on Fire, and the new Division novel titled Recruitment precursors to the story arc for the final Division game in the series, or am I way off, dreaming in my own kind of world? Like those comments up, guys, and give me your opinion. Also, I'm hopeful that we might hear some more news about the Division 2 content, or perhaps the Division Heartlands soon. Gamescom is right around the corner. I don't think we're going to hear anything about the Division 2 at Gamescom, or about Heartlands actually, although we may hear something about Heartlands. I'm not totally sure. I completely forgot that in Sweden, a lot of the companies closed down for like 3 to 5 weeks over summer. And I believe that period, for most people, at least from what Google says, generally ended yesterday, August 17th. Now, that's not to say everyone goes home, because, you know, when you've got a live service game or you're making content for some kind of expansion or DLC, or at least in this case, new content for the end of the year, hopefully, there still needs to be people working. But the majority of people, I believe, go home. You have some people covering, and then when they come back, then those people get to go on holiday or whatever it is. So we may hear some information shortly once the studio comes back fully and starts working again. So fingers crossed we do. Fingers crossed we hear something at Gamescom. I don't think we will, but you know, one can hope. But that's it, guys. Thanks very much for watching. Hopefully I will have some more news for you guys soon. Really struggling to get some news, but hopefully we'll get it soon and I'll get it straight out to you. Make sure you're subscribed, make sure you like the video, and that way you won't miss any of my future videos. You need to turn on the notifications for that to happen as well. Until the next one, Epic out.